all my ex-Mormon friends out there, who remembers hearing anti-Mormon lies when you were a member of the church and being so scared, especially if it was someone in your own ward who's left the church and you're like, oh, and you were never like it was always a hot gossip mill, like why'd they actually leave the church? And there's all kinds of reasons. It never was discussed that they happened to actually stumble upon the truth. There was no truth. The church was the church. So later on, when I left the church and I realized that some of the people in my ward, why they left, and it was because they maybe came upon the CES letter, or maybe they came upon what are some of the other letters, the gospel topic essays, just all kinds of reasons. And when I read that stuff and I realized they actually had a reason to leave. This is why I left. I left because I was told lies about the true nature of Joseph Smith and the true nature of the church. And I started having to unravel all these things. There were things always inside me that never made sense. But I would, again, ex-Mormons, you're going to understand exactly what I mean out there by saying, like, you had to just stuff it down and say, I have to have faith, and I don't know everything, and I'm not going to understand everything, but I just need to trust in God. It's all going to be okay. And people are confused. Satan's always trying to get me, so he's always going to try to lure me away from the truth, and I just shouldn't question anything. That's how it was for 30 something years of my life, about 30 years of my life, where I couldn't question anything. I just had to have faith in this religion, faith that Joseph Smith, that the things that were said about him just weren't true. I didn't want to believe the things that I read the first time I read them. It hurt. It was like an earth-shattering moment. That's exactly why it's called a faith crisis. That's exactly why ex-Mormon people are angry. We're angry at the church. We're not angry at the world per se. We're angry at the church that we were deceived. At least fine, you want to go for it? We feel like we were deceived. Because someone in the comments is going to say something ridiculous about, you weren't deceived, you weren't lied. Yes, I was. That is why I'm so angry. I went to a magic show and I said, yes, this magic is real. This is real magic. And then I looked behind the curtain and I realized, oh no, it's all fake. It's all fake, and you lied about how you did this. When I go to a magic show, I expect to be tricked. But when I go to my religion that's talking about a God and the relationship I have with him and what he expects of me, and then I find out later on that actually there's numerous ways to the church, and the church today isn't the church that was when Joseph Smith founded it, then yeah, I feel tricked and deceived. This is exactly why I had a faith crisis. This is exactly why I moved not only from not believing in Mormonism, but just being agnostic, atheist, whatever. It's because I said, I can't trust anything any religion now says to me. Because there's always some kind of, but how about I just discover what the true nature of God is? Because the true nature of God, in my opinion, someone who's given absolute free will to me, but still puts rules and regulations on what I can do with my body and what I can put in my body, then you really didn't give me free will. You really didn't. I don't have to be told by a God not to rape or murder or steal from other people. I don't need a God telling me that. That's just your conscience. That's saying I'm going to be a good person and not hurt someone else in that kind of way. But those are actually the exact things that Joseph Smith did do, right? Why don't you look into the history and figure that out, that he did actually marry all these young girls. He did steal. He did lie. And so when you figure that part out, you're like, oh, wow, this man who I loved, who I was told to love and defend. You know how many times I defended Joseph Smith? I'm sure all my ex-Mormon friends out there, yeah, you defended Joseph Smith at one time. You heard the negative shit that was said about him. And it was, oh, no, they have it wrong. Joseph Smith wasn't like that, because the true prophet of God would never leave his people astray. And Joseph Smith is a true and accurate prophet, just like of old time, like Moses and Abraham, all those prophets of old, never lead his people astray.